I just up, yo. I just up, yo. I swear this shit, that shit up. Like I ain't supposed to be in. Nigga, I made 27 yesterday. Nigga, you know what I've been through to get here, bro. You know what I've been through to get here, bro. And the slightest thing, bro. I just threw everything away, bro.
In the middle of February 21, 2021, this 27-year-old man appeared on Facebook Live, confessing the horrifying crimes he had just committed against her girlfriend and her entire family. The man in the video was Larry Sistrunk, who had just shot his 24-year-old girlfriend, Lasagna Agee, together with her grandmother and uncle. But his disturbing act of rage did not end there. After shooting his girlfriend, he then aimed his gun at the car where his 4-year-old son was still sitting and emptied the clip. And after unleashing this rampage, he then went on Facebook Live where he repeatedly said that he loves Lasagna.
It's over with for me, bro. I love y'all, Joe. I love all y'all, bro. I love every motherfucker. And the motherfuckers who know me, they know me, Joe. Y'all know me personally, bro. Y'all know me personally. Fuck the...
Then, as if the bloodshed wasn't enough, Larry fled the scene. And he did this all because Lasagna rejected his proposal. But when investigators dug deeper, they uncovered something even more disturbing. Something that will make you question not just love, but who you let into your home. This is the story of Lasagna Agee. Lasagna Agee was born in the late 1990s, growing up in the heart of Chicago. While much of her early life was not known to the public, what was known was that she was a woman of strength and determination. She experienced early heartbreak when her mother passed away while she was still young, leaving her with a fragile family support system. But that adversity didn't stop her from navigating the diverse life full of struggle in Chicago. She graduated from Proviso East High School and built a life rooted in responsibility and hard work, even in the face of emotional hardship. In her early 20s, Lasagna secured a job with the United States Postal Service, a position she took great pride in. Determined to build a stable life for herself, she also started an online cosmetics business to boost her income. Lasagna's ambition didn't stop at a 9-to-5 job. She saw each day as a new opportunity to push forward. But even the most focused heart still longed for connection. And it was during this chapter of focused independence that Lasagna met someone who would change everything, a man named Larry Sistrunk. At first, Lasagna and Larry's relationship seemed promising. Larry came into her life during a time when she was thriving independently, and in the beginning he appeared supportive, attentive. They shared laughs, dreams, and plans for the future. For a while, it looked like she had finally found someone who understood her struggles and wanted to build something meaningful alongside her. In 2017, their bond deepened when they welcomed a baby boy into the world. Becoming a mother brought Lasagna a new kind of joy, a sense of purpose that made her more determined than ever to provide a safe and stable home. But what looked picture perfect on the outside was masking a reality far more painful. Behind closed doors, Lasagna was living a nightmare. Not long after their son was born, the cracks in Lasagna and Larry's relationship began to show. What started as small disagreements over day-to-day matters soon turned into heated arguments. These tensions steadily grew more intense and harder to ignore. The couple found it difficult to see eye to eye, and their inability to resolve conflicts began to take a toll on their daily lives. People close to them started noticing the shift, how once happy moments were replaced by stress and unease. Concern began to spread among those who cared about them, especially for the child caught in the middle. Lasagna initially stayed, holding on to the love she had for Larry and the life they had created together. She thought the rough patch they were going through would pass, that if they gave it time, things might get better. But instead of improving, the situation only got worse. The emotional and physical harm escalated, leaving Lasagna feeling increasingly stuck. Each day became more difficult than the last, and the hope she once had slowly faded. She found herself in a painful situation with very little support. After losing her mother at a young age, Lasagna didn't have a strong family network to fall back on. Her social circle was small, and isolation began to set in. She often felt overwhelmed, frightened, and alone. Still, deep down, Lasagna knew she couldn't stay in that situation forever. For her own safety and for her child's well-being, she had to find a way out. Quietly and carefully, she began gathering information about local support services, while also setting aside whatever money she could. After weeks of quiet planning, she finally reached a turning point and made a brave decision to change the course of their lives. Without alerting Larry, she moved into a new apartment. As an added step to protect herself, she filed for and was granted a restraining order against him. It was a clear message. She was finished with the abuse. Every detail had been thought through, and she acted with care and caution, hoping this new beginning would offer them the peace they deserved. But her hope was short-lived. Somehow, Larry managed to uncover her new location. He ignored the restraining order and forced his way into her home. When he showed up unannounced, Lasagna immediately called the police. Officers arrived quickly, but he had already fled before they could catch him. Lasagna believed that would be the last time she'd see him, that the law would soon catch up with him and her nightmare would finally be over. But instead of finding relief, she felt her anxiety grow. Sadly, her instincts were right, especially considering what would happen just one day later. On the following day, after finishing her shift at work, Lasagna returned home, only to be met with a terrifying sight. Larry had been hiding inside her apartment, concealed in the utility closet, and he wasn't alone. Her grandmother was there as well, unaware that he had been lurking inside the house for hours. When Lasagna walked in, Larry confronted them with a gun in his hand, his anger boiling over as he threatened them both. And in a fit of uncontrollable anger, he tore through the place, breaking windows and causing such extensive damage that the landlord told her she had to vacate. Faced with a growing threat, Lasagna realized she had to find a way to shield her family and get out of this dangerous situation. With nowhere to turn and no support left, Lasagna felt completely cornered. Out of desperation, she went back to Larry, thinking she had no better choice. But once again, life under his control became unbearable. Emotional and physical toll worsened by the day, leaving her feeling broken and full of regret. Eventually, Lasagna began quietly making plans to leave him again. But when Larry caught wind of her intentions, the violence escalated quickly. The abuse became more intense and frequent, and she started to suffer visible injuries, including black eyes. She turned to law enforcement several times, filing reports in hopes of receiving help, but her efforts led nowhere. Feeling unsupported, she reached out to her relatives. Around this time, Larry began threatening her loved ones as well. Lasagna, who deeply valued her family's safety, felt trapped. She came to believe that staying with Larry might be the only way to protect the people she cared about. To her, enduring the pain seemed like the price she had to pay to keep them safe. This painful decision took a serious toll on her, especially knowing that staying meant putting herself in constant danger. One day, Lasagna managed to save enough to purchase a car, hoping it would give her the freedom to leave quickly if things got worse. But that hope didn't last. Larry damaged the car by ramming it into a garage, leaving it too broken to drive. Without a way to get around, he gained even more control over her movements. Every time she looked at the wrecked car, she was reminded of how stuck she was. The pressure of everything began to wear her down. Lasagna struggled to stay focused at work and started missing shifts, sometimes because of her injuries, other times due to emotional exhaustion. The weight of her situation made it hard to get up and face the day. Even though she feared losing her job, she felt too drained to care. Eventually, her supervisor noticed the change and checked in with her. When Lasagna opened up about what she was going through, they listened closely and didn't brush it off. Wanting to help, they arranged for a few coworkers to walk with her after work so she wouldn't be left alone. This new support helped Lasagna feel less alone and gave her a small sense of relief. Knowing there were people looking out for her brought a bit of peace to her daily life. The Postal Service soon offered her the opportunity to transfer to a safer location, giving her a renewed sense of hope that things might finally change. With a fresh start, Lasagna began to rebuild. She was able to save some money and eventually bought another vehicle, this time keeping its location a secret. But a single oversight changed everything. She had taken pictures of the new car and stored them on her phone. One day, Larry came across the images. When he confronted her, his rage exploded. In a violent outburst, he vowed to ruin it, found the car, and crashed it into a pole, shattering the windows. After that, Lasagna had reached her limit. She told Larry she was leaving for good, but what happened next caught her completely off guard. He took their son and vanished. Larry used their child as leverage, making it clear that she couldn't escape him no matter how hard she tried. The thought of losing her son left her overwhelmed with fear and helplessness. She realized that breaking free would be even harder than she expected. Wanting her child back, Lasagna went to the police for help, but they told her it was a custody issue they couldn't intervene in. Because Larry was the boy's father and not a stranger, things became even more complicated. This lack of support from authorities left her feeling abandoned and deeply discouraged. Still, she refused to give up. Determined to protect her son, Lasagna turned to legal channels and secured another restraining order against Larry, hoping it would finally force him to back off. But even with the court order, the threats kept coming. According to Lasagna, Larry warned her that she would not be able to see her son again until she came back to him. Feeling trapped once more, she filed another report, but the police gave the same answer. This was something the courts had to resolve. Refusing to stay silent, she started digging into her legal options and connected with support groups, hoping to find people who could guide her in securing her son's safety and future. She returned to her job, focused on saving money and building a more secure future for herself and her son, still holding on to the hope of bringing him back home. But just as things started to feel a little more stable, everything shifted unexpectedly. One day, her manager called her in and delivered news that hit hard. She was being let go. The reason? A customer had accused her of discarding mail, including sensitive items like her son's birth certificate. Although Lasagna knew the accusation wasn't true, she had no way to prove her innocence. Later, it became clear to her that Larry had orchestrated the entire situation to sabotage her job, using it as yet another way to maintain control. Despite the setback, Lasagna refused to give in. She began searching for a new place to live and focused on repairing her car. Not long after, she came across a listing for an apartment that seemed like a great fit. Even though something felt off, she decided to check it out. When she arrived, she was stunned to discover that Larry had set it up as a trap. He was there waiting, trying to convince her to come back. When pleading didn't work, his tone shifted to threats once again. Eventually, she found a way to escape with her child. But Larry didn't stop chasing her. His behavior became more erratic, and she lived with a constant sense of fear. Then, on the 14th of February 2021, Valentine's Day, everything changed. What she hoped would be a quiet day turned into a life-altering moment that flipped her world upside down. She climbed into her car, intending to head out, when an odd sound from the rear of the vehicle caught her attention. Curious and unsettled, she stopped to investigate, only to find Larry hiding in the trunk. He had waited silently, lying in wait for her to get inside. To make the situation even more disturbing, he had placed what looked like a romantic Valentine's Day gift on the back seat, using it as a twisted gesture of affection. From that moment, Lasagna knew she couldn't safely remain in her home. Fear gripped her, and it became clear that she needed to escape for good. Her thoughts raced as she tried to figure out where she could go and how to protect herself and her son from further harm. In the days that followed, she began moving between different hotels, doing everything she could to stay hidden and safe. Larry's behavior kept getting more aggressive. and she feared he might eventually harm someone close to her. Sadly, some of the people around her weren't supportive. They doubted her resolve, assuming she would return to Larry just as she had in the past. But everything took a drastic turn on the 21st of February 2021. Security footage captured an incident so alarming that it shocked anyone who watched it. What the cameras recorded was unsettling and left many struggling to process what Larry had done.
So look, he's coming back again. Oh my God!
He backed back once she parked.
When see her parking, it happens in less than a minute. He's coming out. Look, you're gonna see him.
Lasagna Agee had just finished her shift and returned to her residence on the 7800 block of South Muskegon in Chicago. She pulled into her parking spot and remained seated in her car for a moment. Then, another vehicle pulled up right beside hers. It was Larry. Once someone she had trusted and the father of her child, he had now become the person she feared most. The moment she saw him, panic set in. All the past attempts to get away from him and the pain he had caused came rushing back. Larry began speaking to her through the car window, trying to persuade her to leave with him. He told her to get into his vehicle, but she refused. Lasagna stood firm and told him to leave. Still, Larry wasn't willing to walk away.
We were talking for a minute. He was trying to make me get in the car with him, and I'm like, no. He then said, okay.
Her uncle, who was nearby and standing between their two cars, noticed the situation getting tense. In an instant, Larry got out of his car, pulled out a gun and aimed it at her uncle. Then he fired. Her uncle was hit and fell to the ground.
Look, you're gonna see him. I spoke with her something, and then he comes out of the car. And when he start with her, with your daughter. You see? Coming out.
He shot her, shot my brother.
Fear overwhelmed Lasagna. She tried to run toward her house, but Larry turned the gun on her and started shooting. Bullets struck her and she collapsed.
And my sister was running, so he shot my sister.
Her grandmother, who had been nearby, was also shot during the attack. But Larry didn't stop there. He then aimed at Lasagna's car, where their young son was still sitting, and opened fire, shooting repeatedly into the vehicle. He emptied the entire magazine, sending bullets flying and creating a scene of chaos and terror. The sound of gunfire quickly drew neighbors out of their homes. They gathered nearby, alarmed, and immediately began calling for emergency services. Aware of the violence he had just unleashed, Larry ran from the scene. But rather than hiding, he took a shocking step. He started a live stream on Facebook. During the video, Larry expressed his anger and frustration, speaking openly about his relationship with Lasagna.
Ain't no coming back with it, bro. Ain't no coming back with it. Ain't no point in me going against. Ain't no coming back with it, bro. Ain't no coming back with it. Ain't no point in me going against no. If any motherfucker got a problem with me, let that be known right now. Let that be known right now. Any motherfucker got a problem with me, let it be known.
His tone was filled with resentment and sorrow. He made it clear that there was no going back from the choices he had made. Larry told viewers that he had been overwhelmed for a long time and finally reached a breaking point. He admitted he didn't fully understand what drove him to act the way he did, but said he was tired of constantly running from life's problems. He acknowledged that he expected the police to come for him and believed his time was almost up.
It's all love, though. I love y'all, Joe. On my soul, they gonna assassinate my character, man. I'm gone. They gonna assassinate me. It's over with. It's over with, fucking shit.
As he spoke, a mixture of despair and rage came through, giving viewers a glimpse into his disturbed state of mind. Meanwhile, emergency responders rushed Lasagna and her family to the hospital in critical condition. She had been shot 11 times. Miraculously, none of the bullets struck her vital organs. Most of the damage was concentrated in the lower half of her body, with her pelvis and right leg suffering serious harm. Her liver was also badly affected. Despite the extent of her injuries, she survived. and she felt deeply grateful to still be alive. Fortunately, Lasagna's uncle and grandmother both pulled through and survived the attack. Her uncle sustained 8 gunshot wounds, but against the odds, lived through the trauma. The incident left lasting damage, not just to their bodies, but to their emotional well-being. The fear and pain from that day would linger, impacting their lives in ways that could not be undone. At the same time, law enforcement quickly identified Larry as the primary suspect. Investigators began piecing together the event, collecting witness statements and physical evidence to understand exactly what had happened. The neighborhood watched closely, waiting for accountability and answers. Neighbors didn't hesitate to speak up, describing what they saw. Their accounts pointed clearly to Larry, who was not only the father of Lasagna's child, but also her ex-partner, with a history of abuse. There was no confusion about who had committed the violent act. Later, when journalists interviewed Lasagna, she recounted the terrifying experience in detail. She expressed disbelief at having survived being shot 11 times and shared her gratitude for being alive after going through such a terrifying ordeal.
He only hit me 11 times. That's how many times he hit me. This doesn't count the bullet holes on my car.
She also revealed that Larry had targeted her relatives on purpose. His goal, she explained, was to remove anyone who could testify about what he had done. His attack wasn't random. It was a deliberate attempt to silence those around her. Although Lasagna and her loved ones survived, the emotional damage ran deep. The trauma would remain with each of them, shaping their futures as they tried to recover from such a devastating experience. After the attack, Larry slipped through the hands of authority and he remained at large, which kept Lasagna living in fear. She constantly worried he might return to finish what he had started. But eventually, authorities managed to track him down. After several weeks on the run, Larry Sistrunk was found in Louisiana. He was staying in an apartment located on Mary Jane Street in Mansoura. When officers arrived, he gave up without putting up a fight. After his arrest, he was brought back to Chicago where he faced legal proceedings for his actions. Prosecutors charged him with 3 counts of attempted murder along with 3 counts of aggravated battery. In the aftermath, Lasagna created a GoFundMe campaign to ask for help in rebuilding her life. This marked a major shift for her. Though her recovery was still ongoing, Larry's arrest brought a sense of relief and the chance to finally begin moving forward. In her message, she expressed how thankful she was to have survived the ordeal. She spoke openly about how difficult it had been to leave a violent relationship. While many think it's simple to walk away, she pointed out that making that choice had nearly cost her life. Her fundraiser quickly gained support, bringing in more than $11,500.00 to assist her with restarting her life. The experience had a lasting effect on Lasagna. The betrayal came from someone she once cared for deeply, someone she had shared her life and a child with. Even so, she stayed hopeful that by telling her story, she could help others find the courage to seek help and leave abusive situations. She believed her voice could raise awareness and help people recognize the warning signs before they found themselves in similar danger. This tragic case raised serious concerns about the role of law enforcement. Lasagna had filed multiple reports about Larry's threatening behavior, but no meaningful action was taken until after the violent incident occurred. This led many to question why earlier warnings didn't result in intervention. The lack of response sparked broader conversations about how domestic abuse cases are handled by police and whether victims are being adequately protected. People began to ask a difficult but important question. Could this tragedy have been prevented if authorities had stepped in sooner? Let us know what you think about this case in the comments below.